For decades, building a tech company meant a heavy, resource-intensive formula: raise millions and hire an army. Today, that monolithic model is crumbling. When the founders of Xappert Inc. mapped out their platform, they ran straight into this reality. They had a sprawling vision for an enterprise tool, but lacked the capital and team required to follow the traditional path. Here's the difference between traditional AI and the systems that solved their problem. A chatbot takes text input and gives you text output, but an AI agent takes a goal, runs an iterative loop, and actually executes the result. Looking inside the agent's architecture reveals how it achieves autonomy. It retains persistent memory, pings external APIs, and resolves complex decision branches entirely on its own. Compressing a multi-year startup timeline requires a shift in how humans operate. Stop acting as the manual builder and start acting as the director of a digital workforce. The Xappert team moved forward by betting their growth on the precision of orchestrated autonomous systems rather than the size of their headcount. Every startup begins with an idea, and the immediate temptation is to start building a product the moment that idea strikes. Xappert resisted that urge. Before they wrote a single line of code, they deployed their first wave of agents purely to gather market research and rigorously test their baseline assumptions. They ran a devil's advocate protocol. The agents actively scoured the internet to hunt down disconfirming market evidence, mapping the founder's central hypothesis against a heavy, red-inked list of competitor weaknesses and structural flaws. This adversarial testing strips away founder bias. It ensures you don't spend months creating a technically sound product that absolutely no one actually wants to use. This vetting process confirms the logic of the foundation is sound before any code is actually written. Once the concept survives that initial gauntlet, the focus shifts to the minimum viable product. This is where agentic coding takes over. The founder steps back from typing out syntax and steps into the role of lead architect. The major risk here is AI tech debt. Unguided agents prioritizing speed will generate a chaotic, tangled codebase. To fix this, implement architectural context files like a claude.md document, forcing the agent to obey strict design rules. By injecting this persistent context into the workflow, you instantly upgrade the AI. It stops acting like a reckless junior coder and starts working like a disciplined senior developer building for the long term. Execution speed without structural guardrails creates future liabilities. Human-defined constraints are the single most valuable component of the entire agentic coding process. With the product functional and out in the wild, the technical heavy lifting eases up. But almost immediately, the operational and organizational workload begins to multiply. To handle that surge, the team shifts their agents into multi-step workflow automation. The system absorbs the operational burden entirely on its own, allowing the company to process more data without adding a single new human hire. We can see how this works by looking at this matrix diagram of low-precision tasks. High-volume background activities like continuous data monitoring, personalized email outreach, and initial lead qualification are filtered and isolated into a dedicated execution queue. With agents executing thousands of those repetitive actions flawlessly in the background, the founder is permanently removed as the day-to-day operational bottleneck. True scaling occurs when automated systems take over the physical execution. It severs the traditional link that said company growth had to be tied to headcount growth. Today, Xappert Inc. operates at an enterprise scale, yet their human team remains incredibly lean. They match the output of a massive corporation with a fraction of the staff. The human employees here haven't been replaced. Instead, they have been elevated entirely out of the weeds of repetitive, manual execution. Because the agents handle the actual building and processing, the human team reserves its energy strictly for high-precision work. They focus on complex judgment calls, strategic direction, and building the relationships that algorithms cannot. This blueprint maps the modern organizational structure, a central human hub controlling an array of specialized, interconnected digital agents. In this model, the proprietary context and locked-in workflows become the primary defense against competitors, far more difficult to replicate than the codebase itself. Future professional value will be dictated by the number and quality of agents you can orchestrate. If you have a clear goal and sharp logic, you now have the tools to build an empire.